there's one shark on Shark Tank who gets trolled more than anyone else, and it's not who you think. Now, before you guess Mark Cuban or Kevin O'Leary, let me tell you, it's Barbara Corcoran. Yes, the queen of I'm out.
You have 15 locations in 2.5 years. Amazing, but I mistrusted. So I'm going to trust my gut on this. I'm out. I think it's a terrible name. I'm out. You don't look worried to me. For that reason alone, I'm out. I trust your mom. But you're hopping and weaving a lot, I feel. And it's making me more nervous as I listen. I'm definitely out. I look at the entrepreneurs in 2 minutes, or in 2 seconds, I have an opinion. You know, my opinion then is I'm out.
People literally joke that Barbara doesn't bring a calculator to the tank, that she invests based on vibes, energy, or because she had a good breakfast that day. But here's the plot twist that's about to blow your mind. Despite all the trolling and the memes, Barbara Corcoran has quietly made some of the most legendary and profitable investments in Shark Tank history. But even with all this success, the question still remains. Does Shark Tank really need Barbara Corcoran, or is she just entertainment value? Let's dive deep into this, and you might be shocked by what we discover. For most casual viewers, Barbara doesn't even feel like a real shark. She doesn't talk in spreadsheets like Kevin, she doesn't outbid people with millions like Mark Cuban, she doesn't grill founders on their business fundamentals like Damon. Instead, she says things like,
I like you very much, but I've fallen in love with you. What I like about you is you're ambitious.
and then boom, she either pulls out completely or goes all in. There's literally no middle ground with Barbara. This has created two very different camps in the Shark Tank community. Those who think she's the heart and soul of the show, and those who think she's just there to keep things entertaining. It's become a full-blown meme economy at this point. TikTok and YouTube comments became brutal. Some people even started petitions to remove her from the show, claiming she's not a serious investor. But here's where it gets absolutely wild. Let's talk about her biggest wins that nobody seems to remember. First up, the Comfy, probably Barbara's most iconic deal ever. Two brothers walk into the tank with what sounds like the dumbest idea ever, a hoodie that's also a blanket. They came with a few prototypes and zero sales. Other sharks were literally laughing at this pitch. Mark Cuban rolled his eyes. Kevin called it ridiculous. But Barbara saw something different. She invested $50,000 for a 30% stake in the business.
50 for 30%, but you do all the work. I'm going to know how to market it. I think you hyper-focus online, and I can help you there because I sell so much product online.
Barbara, you have a deal.
Okie dokie.
Let's get comfy together.
And guess what happened next? This ridiculous hoodie blanket, known as the Comfy, became a $550 million sales phenomenon, sold through national retailers, a viral sensation, and a holiday bestseller on Amazon every single year. Barbara herself called it the biggest deal of my career.
What is the best return you ever got in a deal from an investment on Shark Tank?
That would be on the Comfy product. I invested $50,000. No other sharks were interested. I thought the guys were a little bit out of their mind, but fun-loving and had kind of an interesting concept, all they had of a product. And I invested $50,000, and they made $450 million in sales in 3 years.
Wow.
Shocking.
But that refers to sales earnings, not Barbara's personal payout.
Barbara herself made $37 million off of 50K investment. It was just like,
But wait, it gets even better. Cousins Maine Lobster, two cousins from Maine walked in with frozen lobster rolls. Sounds boring, right? Other sharks passed. Barbara liked their story, their hustle, their authenticity. She invested $55,000 for 15% of the business. Today, that company has over $70 million in revenue. Food trucks nationwide, brick and mortar stores, and Barbara still personally mentors them. This is the woman people call the least serious shark. Then there's Grace and Lace, a couple who started a sock company after a personal tragedy. Barbara connected emotionally and invested $175,000. The result? $20 million in revenue in just a few years, featured in Oprah's favorite things list, built a 100-person manufacturing team. These aren't just feel-good investments. These are market-dominating brands built by the shark people love to hate. But somehow, people still think she's not a real investor. Now let's be honest about why the internet loves to drag Barbara. Because the criticism is real, and we need to address it. First, people say she's too emotional. Barbara doesn't shy away from crying on the show. She once said yes to a pitch because it reminded her of her struggle as a waitress. To business bros, this feels unprofessional, but Barbara argues, and her track record also seems to prove her right. Second criticism, lack of technical knowledge. Unlike Mark Cuban, who's a tech billionaire, or Robert, who built cybersecurity companies, Barbara doesn't do software, AI, or blockchain. She passed on tech companies that later went big. But here's the thing, her sweet spot is consumer products, real estate, retail, food, and beverage, and in those categories, she's deadly accurate. Third, the random rejections, the most important one from which she gets trolled mostly. Sometimes Barbara says no for the weirdest reasons. It feels completely unfair, but Barbara claims these are signals of weak leadership, and that's what she bets on, the person, not just the business.
Of course, invest in all kinds of businesses, but I only invest in the kinds of people that I think I can make money with. I judge the entrepreneur. It's pretty simple. I look at the entrepreneur and I think it's a great entrepreneur, it's great business, it always is.
Some argue Barbara is more reality TV than real investor. Her one-liners, her dramatic exits, her slow claps. But let's be real, Shark Tank is a TV show. If all sharks acted like boring bankers, the show would have been canceled 10 seasons ago. Barbara brings the flavor, whether you like it or not. But here's what most people don't know about Barbara's backstory, and it's absolutely incredible. She wasn't born into wealth. She didn't inherit a family business.
My dad was the hardest working man alive. He worked as a printing press foreman during the day and he washed trucks at night so he could support his kids.
Barbara was a waitress in New Jersey who struggled with undiagnosed dyslexia for years. Teachers called her the dumb kid, but that struggle became her superpower. It forced her to develop creativity, resilience, and the ability to see opportunities where others saw obstacles. She borrowed $1,000 from a boyfriend and started a small real estate company in New York City. She built it from absolutely nothing into the Corcoran Group, one of Manhattan's most powerful real estate firms, and eventually sold it for $66 million. That's not inherited wealth, that's not family connections, that's pure grind and determination. Barbara is the definition of self-made. But here is something that surprised you. Barbara almost didn't make it onto Shark Tank. She was rejected during the initial casting. The producers called and said they went with another woman. Instead of accepting defeat, Barbara wrote back
And said, I'm sorry, we've changed our mind, we've chosen another woman. I couldn't believe my ears. What? And then I got angry and I sent a really good email saying you've made a mistake and I consider your rejection a compliment. And I'd like you to invite both women out to compete for the one sole female sheet.
You did
And
like
then
a chemistry thing.
I did.
she's now been on all 15 seasons, invested in over 90 businesses, and mentored hundreds of entrepreneurs. Her track record speaks for itself. So what makes Barbara's investment style so unique? Unlike other sharks, she doesn't obsess over valuations. She often ignores financial projections and asks different questions. Why do you want to run this business? Are you willing to hustle? What's your personal story? Critics call it subjective, but her portfolio speaks for itself. Most of her best companies had average numbers, but extraordinary people. Now here it gets more interesting. Barbara is the only original female shark who's stayed since season 1. She's written 3 best-selling books on real estate and business. She overcame dyslexia as a child. She's a podcaster, speaker, mentor, and brand icon. And she's not afraid to fail. She talks openly about her biggest mistakes, which is rare on Shark Tank. And speaking of mistakes, Barbara's biggest regret is not investing in Scrub Daddy. Yes, the #1 most profitable Shark Tank product ever, and it's now worth over $250 million. Barbara laughs about it now. So let's bring this home. Does Shark Tank really need Barbara Corcoran? Without Barbara, you lose one of the only self-made women on the panel, a mentor who bets on people, not just spreadsheets, a shark who backed multi-million-dollar brands with $50,000 checks, and a personality who keeps the show real, emotional, and memorable. You might not always agree with her methods, you might not understand her gut decisions, but if Shark Tank lost Barbara tomorrow, it wouldn't feel the same. The show would lose its heart, its emotional core, and honestly, some of its biggest success stories. And here is the crazy part. The numbers, they don't lie. Barbara has a deal closing rate of over 60%, one of the highest among all sharks. She's invested in over 120 businesses and transformed many of her partners into millionaires. So what do you think? Is Barbara Corcoran underrated, overrated, a genius in disguise, or just entertainment value? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed learning the real story behind the queen of I'm Out, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into your favorite sharks.